Thank you. That's Larry Swan. Chad, would you like me to repeat the question for you?
No, absolutely not prepared. Absolutely, teetotally not prepared. That pains me to say that. I would like to know if there's even an active tactical team at the sheriff's office, and I bet I can answer that. Because they're all leaving. They're all over here at the city of Manchester working. We get them trained up, folks, and the city comes over to the bullpen and picks out which deputies they want to go to work at the city. I'm not going to sugarcoat this, folks. I'm mad about it. I'm plumb mad about it. We can't keep on with this passive attitude. It's got to stop, and it's got to stop now. Folks, there's not enough people out there trained. I don't know what active shooter Larry Floyd's had or Kelly Smith has. I'd like to see their certificates. I'd like to see their training. You can sit through a course, but does that mean you can teach it? No. No. Investigate. Look into it. Make them produce it. We're going to put SROs in these schools. We're going to get it. We're going to get it done. If I'm not your sheriff, it's going to get done without me. The schools are going to demand it, and you, the parents and the teachers, are going to get it done. But we've got to get out of this passive attitude that everything's just lovely and roses. It's not. It's not. It's not there. Don't believe the smoke and mirrors. And yes, I've got an attitude about it. I'm sorry. This is your tax dollars. These are your lives. Folks, we couldn't even do it at the courthouse.
Comment.
I'm going to bring that back to Sheriff Graves first. Give him a minute to respond to Chad's response there.
I really don't have much of a response other than I'm confident with our officers. I know their training. I know they're capable, and I know they'd give their life for these kids in these schools. I know every one of them.
All right, Larry, go ahead. You had something to say. We'll give you 1 minute.
You don't respond as a tactical team. When you go through active shooting training, you respond and you go into the building alone. And I've worked with Larry Floyd, and he can do that.
And I'm mad. Sound system works good. Let's see, I think the next one will go to Sheriff Graves first, I believe. This is our final question of the night, and then we will have some time for closing remarks. Everybody did get that last question right? I thought so. Okay. In the past few years, there have been a couple of high-speed vehicle pursuits that originated in our county that ended in crashes and the deaths of innocent bystanders, one in Rutherford County and one in Tullahoma. What are your views currently on your standard operating procedures regarding high-speed pursuits, and have there been any changes to that since those incidents?
We do have a pursuit policy in place. It is vetted through the state of Tennessee and through our traveler's insurance. The supervisor can call off a pursuit at any time, and we encourage the officer that is pursuing, if it gets dangerous, to stop it. The policy is there, and we went one step further now. When a pursuit starts, I'm contacted, and believe me, I'm not afraid to call one off, but I'm not on scene. I will never tell an officer not to do their job if it's warranted, but if it gets dangerous to the public, I want the officers, they all know they have the right to call off a pursuit.
All right. That was Sheriff Steve Graves. Larry, do you need me to repeat the question?
If you would, please.
Okay. In the past few years, high-speed pursuits originating in Coffee County ended in crashes and deaths of innocent bystanders, one in Rutherford County and one ended in Tullahoma. What are your views on standard operating procedures regarding high-speed pursuits?
Obviously, you got to have a standard operating procedure. When I worked in Murfreesboro for 2 years, their policy was you could not pursue unless it was a violent felony. They used to run through the streets of Murfreesboro over 100 miles an hour. And if it wasn't a violent felony, we could not pursue. In 2 years, I've never gotten a pursuit. I didn't agree with that. Normally, when somebody speeds away from a police officer, they're probably more than just speeding. So there's more to that than people realize. When you pursue, you determine the time of day and the traffic. And it should be the supervisor's authority, but it's also that police officer that initiates the pursuit. He's got to see what time it is. If it's 3 o'clock in the morning and there's not a lot of traffic out, if I'm the captain on duty, you're going to pursue. But this is a very touchy subject. People get killed. I've been in, I don't know how many pursuits, and luckily, in my 28 years of law enforcement experience, I've never wrecked a car, and no one has ever been killed as a result. And I'm very fortunate and thankful. But those are a dime and a dozen apart. So, standard operating procedure, definitely. But it's that supervisor that needs to make that decision. But it's that supervisor that needs to relay to that patrolman or deputy, whoever's doing the pursuing, tell me what's going on and the nature of the crime. Thank you.
All right, that was Larry Swan. We'll go to Chad Parton next. Chad, you need the question?
No, it definitely is a very important issue out here. We've had a number of pursuits. We've got a pending lawsuit right now dealing with a pursuit that ended in Murfreesboro. That's public knowledge. We've had a pursuit recently. It brought some media attention down in Tullahoma. That was a tragic thing. We've got to look at it. It goes to the line supervisor. It goes to the supervisor that's on that street. They've got to be trained. They've got to be trained extensively. But they've got to have the common sense to know which battles to pick. Now, do I want the criminal element out here to think that we're going to let them get away? No. But we got to pick and choose our battles, and we got to do that strategically. Now, the sheriff has took a good stance on pursuits for a long time. He don't believe in the criminal element getting away, and I don't either. But we've got to make sure our staff is trained, and we need to continue to do that. We need extensive training. I've crashed a lot of cars. I done it. I drove cars that were paid for out of the drug fund, and I'd go to the front and I'd take them out. We just get it over with. I don't like chasing them 25 and 30 miles. We just don't need to do it. And it's time of day. It's the crime. Violent offenders, yeah, we're gonna get after them. But we can't endanger your lives. We can't endanger your children's lives. So it's all dealing in common sense. It's what we got to do. But we do need to change the policy, and it needs to be updated. Thank you.
All right, that was Chad Parton. We'll bring that question back down to Harry Conway. Do you need it again?
No, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Policy is there to give a guidance to the officer involved or the supervisor or anybody else in the police department that's involved in any kind of action or enforcement action, especially with a pursuit. We have a public duty to protect everyone. That includes the ones that are bystanders and the ones that we're chasing. So the policy should be adhered to strictly, and when you pursue someone, you have to look at many factors. It's been mentioned here just a few minutes ago about the factors. We've had a case come out of Tennessee that established these precedents. So we have to adhere to policy for a reason, and it's there to protect not only the officer and the police department, the citizen as well. So yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, that was Harry Conway. We're going to wrap it up with closing remarks. We'll start with Larry Swan, and you have 2 minutes.
2 minutes. There's been some tough questions tonight, and I hope that I've answered at least some to y'all's satisfaction. Being sheriff is much more than answering questions. It requires experience and judgment. I want to close by making another point about judgment. One of our candidates has stated the first day on the job he will put an SRO in every school, even if he has to take deputies and investigators off the street to do it. This type of quick decision-making is nothing but a knee-jerk reaction to a political agenda and is the lack of management and leadership skills required to be the sheriff of Coffee County, and this is not me. I am a person who will use better judgment in my decision-making. I am a person who will consider the total situation and make every effort to reach the best decision, not the decision which would be more risk than benefit. To me, quick decisions are not always the best. I believe in preparation and prior proper planning. Good planning prevents piss-poor performance in all you do. I would investigate counseling over armed guards. I would focus on preventive measures such as security entry and access from schools where teachers were uncomfortable with armed guards. My judgment is don't overreact. Don't put so much security on one group that another group is now at risk. Our children today face a greater chance of dying from drug abuse and drug dealers or texting while driving than they do from an active shooter. I am a person that has walked the walk and I fight the fight. With me as your sheriff, you get a well-rounded man with good proven judgment for every challenge. I have made no promises for jobs, no promotions in the current administration, and no commitments I can't keep. My commitment is justice, judgment, dependability, initiative, decisiveness, tact, integrity, endurance, loyalty, and enthusiasm, unselfishness, courage, and knowledge. The 14 leadership traits that I've preached since day one, since I started this. While entering and exiting the buildings, it will be entered in stone, so all employees will see walking in and out of the building as our mission statement to those we serve. I appreciate your vote and your support in the Republican primary on May the 1st. Thank you.
All right, that was Larry Swan. Next, we'll go to Chad Parton.
How do you follow that?
It's hard.
It's hard. But I tell you, Larry, I worked at the sheriff's office
3 times.
twice.
3 times.
We'll have a difference about that. Folks, I know every crevice, every inch of the sheriff's office. I have grown up there. Freddie Kahn hired me when I just turned 20-year-old. I worked there as corrections. I left. When Ronnie Galt got elected, I left. I went to work for a young sheriff named Jackie Matheny for 3 years. I got up there and I got hooked up with the drug task force. I came back here, worked in the DA's office for 8 years. Left the DA's office, sheriff let me come over there for 30 days till a job opened up out here with Homeland Security and Emergency Management Director. I went over there, spent 2 years building budgets, working on grants, working with the sheriff's office, doing all kinds of things. Then I went back over there again and stayed for nearly 7 years, just over 7 years, as your detective, out here working, doing drug cases. Anything from homicides to drugs to child abuse to computer cases to somebody text me they said a bad message about me on Facebook. Folks, I have done it. I don't need a Sheriff Joe for my sheriff, and you don't either. I'm not going to put the inmates out here in tents. I'm not going to feed them MREs. I'm going to treat them as human beings. We're going to treat them with fairness and kindness. We're not going to coddle them. We're not going to give them TV. We're going to treat them with fairness. They've got a debt to pay to society, but I want them to come out of that jail better than they did when they went in, looking on a new outlook on life. Maybe they found something spiritual. Maybe they found an education. Maybe they learned to read and write. That's what we've got to focus on, folks. Yeah, I'm passionate about this, and I don't mean to upset none of y'all, but I'm passionate about the job, and I'm passionate about my people here in Coffee County. And somebody said I made a grenade launch about these SROs. It's easy, folks. All you got to do is go look at the roster. It's easy. We might even come up with 7 folks to go in those schools. But I'm telling you, If I'm elected sheriff, those SROs are gonna be at those county elementary schools the first day. Put it down in your book. They're gonna be there. Thank you.
All right, that was Chad Parton. Next is Harry Conway.
I want to thank Sheriff Graves for his service for the many years of being sheriff. I know it's a tough job. I'm not here to say that the sheriff's department's all bad. I'm just here to simply say that there's a leadership issue that needs to be addressed. And I'm advocating to Coffee County that we correct that at the voting booth here and coming up. Now, in saying that, I've got quite a bit of experience in law enforcement across the board. I've got investigations, patrol, and leadership, supervision, training, evidence, you name it. I've got quite a bit, even specialized investigations and specialized enforcement measures. Throughout all that, I've learned that you come down to the bottom line of respect. We want to respect each other, we want to be accepted. Now, I'm not originally from Coffee County, but I've proven my time in public service, and I've done what needs to be done to help a citizen. So I'm here to help Coffee County, and I'm asking for your vote, to vote for Harry Conway. I think it's a time for change. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. And we will close tonight with closing arguments from Sheriff Steve Graves.
Well, I'm a positive person, so I'm going to reflect on some of the things that I'm proud of that we've accomplished over the years. I'm proud of our honor guard. I've had officers that's given of their time and been members of the honor guard, and they've done an excellent job. I'm proud of our charity fund. I'm proud of the work they do every Christmas when they deliver at least 500 or around 500 toy boxes and 250 food boxes to the citizens in this county. I'm proud of the way they come together and do benefits when someone has tragedy hit. I'm also proud of both certified facilities. I know the jail is not a popular place, but I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it to the point that we had to go out and put our own flagpole up. We had to go get it from a construction site. We had to ask for donations to get our sign up, but I am still proud of that new jail. I'm proud of the loyal and dedicated men and women that work there. And I'm also proud of the support that the citizens of this county has given us over the last years and continue to give us on a yearly basis. Because without them, we could not deliver these toy boxes and food boxes, and I hope that's a program that's continuing long after I'm gone. And I will stop at that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That was Sheriff Steve Graves. I want to remind everybody, just so in case people aren't sure how it works, we have we have a Republican and a Democratic primary coming up. Early voting starts April 11th. Sheriff Graves is on the Democratic primary ticket. He will run unopposed, and I think would win that, and then be on at the general election in August. And then the Republican candidates, Harry Conway, Larry Swan, and Chad Parton, will all be on the Republican ticket for the primary, and the winner would face Steve in the general election in August. Really want to thank these guys for coming out. It's not easy to campaign and get out in the community and spend the money that they have to spend, so really want to thank these guys for showing up tonight and taking part. I want to thank Thunder Radio and for co-hosting this with us at the Manchester Times, and a big thank you to Steve West with the church at 117. This is a fine event facility he has put together here. Thank you everybody for coming out, for listening on the radio station and on Facebook. Have a good night.